religious belief, and they're all subjective to everyone's individual opinions. However, if we're dealing with in a world that a God exists, then all subjectivity, becomes objective to him. And since no matter our perception of it, what our perceptions of evil are, it ultimately is left up to God to decide what evil is. And if God deems that evil is necessary for us to know good, then evil is then good.
I like where you're going with that, but in the same respect that if we're going to leave the decision of what good or evil is towards our divine artificer God, then we don't really clearly have an understanding of what, we still don't know what that God thinks this good and evil is. Very well, he could have it very inverted and maybe think that murdering and things are, a right act of justification. Maybe that's,
and if he deems it so, then it is so.
Maybe just change around the Christian faith a little bit. But,
honestly though, I see where you're going there, but of course at that point we could very easily redefine evil, because you're saying, well, then really all that good is what God approves of. Then all that evil is what God opposes. So, which is wonderfully vague, but, because there's plenty of people who disagree even within the same religious tradition of what those things are, but if that's your working definition.
But then again, what you're doing is you're taking this huge objective thing of what evil is and what good is what we're supposed to do as thinkers, and remove ourselves from the problem and view it from the outside. And what you're doing is you're internalizing it to each individual person. And I think, and we can look at sadomasochism, for instance, right? Some people view that as good, other people view that as evil. You're going to have all of these different variances, but if we're talking about a world with an omnipotent being, a world with a God, then he would have to, he or she, I guess, I don't want to offend it, they would have to define what good is and what evil is. And if our idea of what evil is exists, then it must be good, because he probably has said it so. And if he or she or it or they say that it isn't good, then it probably wouldn't have existed in the first place.
Well, I understand that, but once again, the point of the thought experiment I read was basically saying that the standards of what is good and what is evil has to be independent of the idea of deity, because
why?
Because simply speaking, at least from a subjective level, we seem to think almost as if coded into our very nature certain things as detestable. And
why?
Well, most likely it's an evolutionary trait. Most likely most of us think it's bad to kill other human beings and children.
Some people don't.
I know some people don't.
So then are they evil?
No, they are probably an accident of nature.
They're what? An accident of nature?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, then you have to get to the different social standards on what moral evil is. You have to define which social standard could be correct or incorrect.
Which is why we can't do that. We can't do that effectively and define what evil is if we're doing it by a social standard. Because who's to say ours is correct?
You're talking about moral relativism now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to think that if there was an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent God, that all cultures of the world would have the same kind of morals, and they don't.
Well, not necessarily, because if we're to say that this God has an idea of what good and evil is, he has his own idea of morality, but it's not known to us, then it would make sense that these cultures wouldn't know, because we're really just shifting the idea towards...
how do you know what God thinks?
Yeah, you really can't.
If we're to suppose that, right.
If we're to suppose what God thinks, we have no idea.
But if we're talking about what the culture
I think
instinctively feels is immoral, then the fact that those are all different means that it's really not a clear instinctual thing that we're getting from the deity.
Well,
he doesn't give it to us.
And very well, it can be looked upon as maybe our own subjective idea of evil itself, because it's an act of perhaps deception or ignorance. That while this deity is supposed to exist, he's not giving us a clear understanding. So that to me seems like, why would you even do that?
Well, okay, let me just ask a question to clarify this whole point.
who in here believes there's an objective morality?
Define objective morality.
There are things that are always moral, and there are things that are always immoral, despite context, or it can be context sensitive, but ultimately there is good, there is evil, and it isn't just whatever you happen to think. So is there any sort of objective morality?
There are things that are inherently good, there are things that are inherently evil. And those are all dependent if we're talking about a world with a God, on Him, on God.
Okay, yeah, that was my only point. Now, if we believe there is an objective morality, obviously a very popular tactic, especially among people who are part of a particular religious tradition, is often to attribute it to their God. Now but of course we made the point that defining good and evil can be done very much independent of God, because
It can't.
no, I believe it can, because simply speaking, we just said that things are objectively moral, and if God hypothetically decides something that we deem inherently moral as immoral, or vice versa, well, suddenly we disagree with God, and if our standards...
As humans, we disagree with God all the time.
Well, that's fine, that's great, but are you saying human beings are just wrong?
Yeah, they can be fallible.
That's fine.
The whole thing with the God is that
Well, I understand. We're talking about
God is infallible.
Sure, we're talking about an infallible God, sure. But would you concede to the baby killing thing? Like, yeah, that's right. If God actually came up and told you it was?
If God came to me and was like, yo, baby killing, not evil.
No, good.
What if God
Wonderful.
told you to take your son up to this rock and snap
Then
him?
I do it because God deemed it so, and
And then the angel would come
if God is
and
God is infallible, then He can't be wrong.
No
And so I
matter how
have
you
to.
feel about it.
No matter how I feel about
You
it.
don't want to kill your son.
Just because I view it as evil
The
doesn't
all-powerful
make
guy
it
said that it's
doesn't
okay,
make
so
it.
I guess it is, even though I don't feel like it is.
Just because I view something as evil doesn't mean that it is evil. Just because I view something as good doesn't mean that it is good.
According to this deity, this God.
Right.
Because in different, social environments.
Because what I'm doing is I'm incorporating my own thoughts into what I'm going to do.
Okay, but let me give you this example. Say He's not the only God. They're all real, every last one of them. And a lot of them disagree. Who do you listen to? You don't want to burn any bridges.
All right. If all of these gods exist, then our question of morality and good and evil would have to be redefined because what the problem of evil is suggesting that philosophical thought is that it's going under the conception of there being one God. And if there are more gods and they have conflicting ideas, then maybe they're not the God. Okay? And if all of these gods have conflicting ideas, then they aren't gods.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
Well,
Because each of them would have their own
I think
powers.
basically what you're trying to say is if there's more than one God, they're probably not all morally perfect.
Yeah.
Because not all of them are.
Well, yeah, and believe me, even being a somewhat practicing, polytheist, I can actually tell you, yeah, that actually makes sense. They're not perfect because why would there need to be more of them?
And if they're not perfect, then they don't know what the objective morality is.
But once again, that's also kind of why the problem of evil doesn't work on neo-pagan
Or
faiths.
to all choose
Yeah.
what they, like each different God should choose what they deem.
On a polytheistic view, the problem of evil doesn't, it doesn't really work with a polytheistic view because you're dealing with multiple higher beings. They're equally powerful, equally knowing, but not all on the same, I guess, subjective view as each other.
Yeah. But let me just rephrase the situation because I'm presenting the same situation with a minor tweak. Think it's somewhat like Hinduism in such as that you're looking at an ultimate higher godhead, which is like, it all amounts to one. Imagine every god in the world has their independent personalities, but eventually it ends up to one source.
The boss.
So essentially,
God boss.
Yeah. So essentially, God's